What it is, folks. One of the hosts, the big boss hog, boss dog, cake poke through the dough. Look, today we got serious topics we're gonna discuss. We're gonna talk about Benavidez. He's standing at light heavyweight. Is that a good idea? We're also gonna talk about Tank, right? What is the next options for Tank since Loma ran off on some smoke? You know what I mean? He's a runner, he's a track star, right? Bud applies pressure. We're gonna talk about that. And what way did he apply pressure? We're gonna talk about that in a minute. Canelo, Cheeto Head, do it again, man. Cheeto Head, I was born ready. He was born running. That boy, we're going to talk about that in a minute. So y'all stay tuned.
What it is, folks, we back. Welcome to the Clutch Factory. Make sure while y'all was waiting, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy, one of the other hosts. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy Brody on the hustle, aka Coach B. But he already mentioned the topics. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of stuff happening in the boxing community within and out the weekend and the rest and throughout the rest of this week. You know what I'm saying? I want to give one big shout out. Shout out to Turkey Out of Sheep. That boy done locked up a deal with every major promotion company in the boxing world. So I know what's finna happen. He finna start making the best fight the best. And I like that. You know what I'm saying? So again, shout out to Turkey Out of Sheep. You know what I'm saying? But Capo already broke down the topics. Well, he listed some of the topics. We finna go ahead and get further into some of these topics. You know what I'm saying? By the way, make sure you understand. Pause No Freaky is in full effect at this moment and throughout the video. All right, here we go. We finna talk Benavidez first. Please. Let's just say this. Benavidez chose to stay at light heavyweight. All right, cool, no problem. So he gonna fight at light heavyweight. Now, with that being said, along with staying at light heavy, he's now been announced as the mandatory for the winner of the Benavidez fight versus Bebo. He's been announced as the mandatory. So my question to you, Capo, is we already know what he looked like during his last fight. We kind of seen him look human for once. You know, his punches was there. He still had the hand speed, but they weren't as powerful and as effective on a guy his size and or bigger. His defense looked a little iffy. You know what I'm saying? And then we also seen him get a little winded throughout certain rounds. So with that being said, do you think this is a good move for Benavidez to stay at light heavy and compete with some of the heavier real life heavyweight guys in the world, or do you think he should have moved down and continued to work his way back up in a different type of manner?
Um, I feel like, man, truthfully, he should have went back down. How he looked defensively, offensively, he did what he normally do, right? But it wasn't enough. It wasn't powerful enough to put these guys down. You get what I mean? Now, granted, that was his first time at 175. Maybe he'll grow into his man strength. But from what I saw, Dave Benavidez early on was putting it on velocity pause, but then after a while, as the rounds went on, he ran out of energy and he started looking to box more and use lateral movement. And at 175 against a better Bill or a B-ball, those little flurries ain't gonna go cut it, and you can't fade late against them. You know what I mean? So if he's gonna stay, which we all know that he is now, his promoter wrote, the WBC. I feel like he need to work on his defense and he get his cardio up, because at the end of the fight, you could see him kind of get a little winded. But it may be due to him doing those flurries. He may have thought, hey, I'm going to do what I do at 168. No, these dudes are bigger. So you got to look to box more and set things up. Use your jab, use lateral movement, head movement, change angles, pivot, turn, even wrapping up. Wrapping up guys, pause, is causing them to, basically reset. You know what I'm saying? So, he going to have to be on his defensive game at 175. You know what I mean? Until his man strength comes up. Because at 168, he's an animal. But he's bigger than everybody at 168. So he's able to impose his will. But at 175, you clearly saw that, he has some flaws. So, he gonna need to tighten up defensively. Maybe look to add another coach, defensive coach. You know what I mean, to his camp. You know what I mean, to help him out so he can be able to not take as many shots. Because you get hit flush with a Arthur Benavidez, you ain't standing up. Bivol, same thing. So, hopefully Benavidez, I applaud him, but I think he should have went back there.
Okay. You know what we say when you from Texas. Well, I'm from the back door. You feel me? I'm finna pick up the flow.
Mm,
I'm gonna say this. I think if he's going to choose to stay up there, he's definitely going to have to learn how to box more. And like you mentioned before, I don't know if boxing a Beaver or better BF is in his favor because I feel like once you take the flurries and the volume punching from Benavidez, who is he?
mm,
Who is he? Because we know him for flurries and volume punching. We don't really know him for defense. We don't know him from sitting back, counter punching, being slick in the pocket, or none of that. We know him for his flurries. If it wasn't for his flurries, who would he be to us? You know, other than a guy that just needs to fight Canelo. You know what I'm saying? But who would he be? So honestly, I second everything you said. I think he should have went back down. And not only that, you stay at 175. You become a mandatory for two of the best boxers and fighters in this division, bro. You don't want no tune-ups?
mm,
Are you crazy?
mm.
Bro, he should have went back down. And with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and segue into the next subject. Let's get it. Tank versus the others. You mentioned earlier in the introduction, the Luma fight is done. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and touch on that real quick, real brief. I'm a sole believer in if your heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit ain't in it, then ain't no way in hell you gonna win. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and get out the way. If you're not gonna give the fans every penny worth of their dollar that they would pay to see this fight, and you're not gonna give it your all, then I'm like Luda, move, get out the way. Or
Mm.
if you old school, you watch wrestling, I'm like Goldberg. Who's next? You know what I'm saying? Who's next? We don't even want to deal with you. Get out the way. But with that being said, the big question in the atmosphere is who's next for Tank? I know everybody wants to see the Shakur talk. I mean the Shakur fight, excuse me. But at the same time, there's rumors and allegate and allegedly that they're supposed to open up negotiations in November and supposedly it's supposed to be for the 135 both WBC and WBA titles to unify the division. Now, I don't know how true that is, but I've read and I've seen and I've put my eyes on some comments and things coming from Tank's side of the field when it comes to this fight. But at the same time, I don't know. So let's just say no Luma, no Shakur. My question to you is, who does Tank go after next? Who would you like to see Tank go after next?
He could rematch Eastside Pitbull Cruz. I feel like that's a fight that a lot of people you got. If you ask certain people, they feel like Tank lost that fight. I think Tank won by landslide, but because Tank didn't knock the dude out, they feel like Eastside Pitbull Cruz won the fight. So that's a fight that he definitely needs to rematch. I think
Mhm.
that's a big fight as well. Because of Eastside Pitbull Cruz, what has he done since he lost the Tank? He's ascended. You know what I mean? I mean, he beat the Cuban beans and rice out of Rody. You know what I'm saying? So we just gotta keep it 1,000. Like he's ascended, and he got a lot of the top guys who want to fight Eastside People Cruz too. Now, although Eastside People Cruz is now a 140 pounder, that kind of puts that fight in a sense out of the way. But I think Eastside can still make 135. I think,
Mhm.
if push come to serve, if Tank be like, hey, we're gonna fight a 135 or a catch weight, Eastside gonna take that fight in a heartbeat. So, but
Okay.
Eastside gotta take care of El Rayo. That's a tough fight for him. But if he do win that fight, Tank versus Eastside Pitbull Cruz. If Tank just want to have a stay busy fight, let's say El Rayo beats Eastside Pitbull Cruz, that's a fight he can have. You know what I mean? Giving El Rayo the opportunity. El Rayo's a power puncher, is a dangerous fighter. He's trained by David Benavidez's dad, so he coming with some type of IQ and good game plan. So, you know, that'll be a good exposure for El Rayo. And a good stay busy fight for Tank. I'm picking Tank by massacre. I think Tank gonna give him melatonin early, but um He could look at Teofimo, but Teofimo got his eyes set on bigger weight classes. He wants Terrence Crawford. So, outside of Loma, he can probably get, Shakur, maybe Williams Zepeda, maybe Baranchuk, but it looks like if I'm Williams Zepeda, who's the number one mandatory in all the divisions, he's going to go after the weakest link, and that's Baranchuk. So, uh, Tank options is to wait and see, wait and see. He can try to make a Shakur fight happen. Um, but the question I have, because I was hearing that Tank wanted to fight in November. So are they starting negotiations soon to fight in November, or they're waiting until November to negotiate a fight?
I believe I said it wrong. That I think they're going to start negotiations to see if they can make something happen in November.
Okay, so if that's the case, his most viable option right now, the biggest fight for him is the Shakur fight. But outside of Shakur and Loma, it would be Isaac Cruz.
Okay, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and put everything plug and play. We're gonna bring everything to real life right now. No Luma. Devon's moved up. Tio's moved up. There's no real true talks about the Shakur fight happening in November. It's just allegedly, it's just rumor. Now let's. I'm gonna bring in the opposite side of the spectrum for Tank. You mentioned Zepeda. You mentioned Berger. Okay, let's be real life with it. Those two fighters, I'm not gonna say they similar, but at the same time, those are styles of fighters we've seen Tank in the ring with before. One's a volume puncher and one's an in between type of fighter. He's a kind of betweener fighter with Barancho. He can do certain things well and other things he can't do so well. And we've seen Tank dispose of these guys. So I think at this point, the biggest knock on Tank is his resume. But at the same time, we keep trying to put him in the ring with the same type of archetype he's already knocked out and defeated. So I'm thinking on the opposite side of the spectrum. I know people be like, "Oh, well, if you put him in there, what does he gain from that?" I'm thinking, Keyshawn Davis, maybe, maybe not. What
Mm.
about the other Cruz? What's his name? Andy Cruz. I think that guy may be able to give him a challenge. It's still early, but at the same time, I think Andy Cruz may be able to give Tank a challenge. I don't know. As the viewers, commenters, subscribers, and everybody else, let me know what y'all think. But at the same time, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, let's put everything in the real perspective. I'm thinking on the opposite side of the spectrum. Can we get an Andy Cruz in there? Can we get a Keyshawn Davis? Maybe a Zepeda, maybe a Baranchuk, but he's already beaten those guys, those type of fighters. You know what I'm saying? Styles make fights, and he's already disposed of multiple fighters with those styles. So I'm ready to see Tank in there with something different. And if we get the Shakur fight, cool. I'm with it. I'm watching it. You know what I'm saying? Because you get the cash cow, you get the face, the crown face of boxing versus somebody who gets viewerships, may not bring in the most money, but at the same time, Shakur is one of the fighters who gets the biggest viewership. So I believe that can combine and make both of them some type of money. But at the same time, I still don't think it turns into what people think it's gonna turn into. The dude gonna get slipped. And it is what it is. Until he shows something different, he let his hands go. He show he can slip. He show he can roll. He show he can catch. He show he can pull, frame, post, all that other good stuff. Shakur gonna get slipped. Period. He has no power to stop Tank from coming forward whenever he's ready to go in that on-demand mode and put you to sleep. But with that being said, let's go ahead and segue and move on from the Tank topic. Now we're gonna bring Shakur back into the picture. His big bro, his big homie, his guy, his man, his main, his left, his right. You feel me? Like I say, Bud has applied pressure on Shakur Stevenson. He has now mentioned, I'm not going to read out the whole thing. I'm not going to say the whole quote. But at the same time, Bud has now applied some peer pressure upon Shakur Stevenson and said, it's time to silence the doubters and silence the haters. You need to go unify the 135 division. Whew. Is that a tough task or not? How you feel about that, Capo?
I definitely feel like it's a tough task. For starters, Shakur Stevens is not Terrence Crawford, right? Terrence Crawford has proved a lot of people wrong, proved me wrong. He's proved a lot of people wrong over the course of the years. You know what I'm saying? And he showed the heart of a true champion, and he showed that he's a great fighter. I'm not saying Shakur is not a great fighter. Just because you take losses don't mean that you're not a great fighter. But I think that Shakur Stevenson, with his fighting style, it's gonna be difficult for him because you fight a guy like Williams Zepeda who don't care, bro. He's stepping. You know what I mean? In the words of L. Smith, he's stepping. You know, he's not trying to. He's not concerned about. He's not or he don't care about your aura. He coming to fight. You know what I mean? And that's what I think Shakur. I don't know if he's ready for. You got what I mean? Because you gotta let your hands go. You could be
Mm-hmm.
defensively, in which we're gonna talk about that in a minute. How he and his defense is really not all that. You know what I'm saying? When you really analyze it, when you watch him and see what he's doing. Um, but you got guys like Zepeda who don't care. Tank gonna be patient and wait and wait and wait, and then
100% facts.
you know what I'm saying. So it's definitely a tall task. Do I think Shakur Stevenson? And let me say this. You know what I mean? I don't disrespect fighters. Do I think Shakur Stevenson have the skill set to beat a lot of these guys? Yes. Do I think he can do it? No. You know what I mean? He gonna lose to somebody. That's just what it is. He has the capabilities to beat all them dudes. Okay? Let me say that. He has the capabilities to beat all them dudes. Can he do it? No. So that's a tall order. It's more mental than physical, and that's why I tell a lot of these young guys, a lot of these young fighters that I talk to, boxing more mental than physical.
Mm-hmm.
You can be the strongest puncher in the world. You hit dudes fold, but if you're not mentally switched on in there, it don't matter. If your opponent is mentally right and you not, he gonna dominate you. He gonna beat you. You know what I mean? So and you're talking about guys with different styles that can pose issues for Shakur. So I don't know. You know, like I said, he has the tools, but can he utilize them correctly? I don't think so.
Facts. I know you put an emphasis on breaking down Shakur's defense. I'm not a man who sits there and takes another man's word for anything. I got to see for myself. You can tell me anything you want about this person over here, but until I realize it and see it for myself, what do I look like going off another man and another woman's word?
Right.
So I heard Tank mention this a few times. He said, "What defense when it comes to Shakur?" You know what I'm saying? He says all he does is step backwards. So I was like, what is he talking about? So yeah, I heard it. So I had to go back and put on the film. I went and watched the film, and it was 100% evident. That lets me know Tank has IQ. He's paying attention. He's looking to he's looking to take advantage of your weak points, and that's one of my major philosophies as a coach. I don't give a damn what you do well. Excuse my French. I'm looking to take advantage of your one weak point. As soon as you show me your weak point, me and my fighters finna take advantage of that. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And it is what it is. And my fighters know that. You know what I'm saying? In our gym, we know that. Even me as a person, whether I'm playing basketball, football, boxing, I'm looking to take advantage of your weak point. I can care less about what you're gonna do good because you're gonna display that 24/7. But what you're trying to hide, what you're trying to hide with everything that you do good is what your weak point. So I'm trying to look for your weak point. And Tank exposed that to the world when he said, "What defense?" All he does is step backwards. And I had to go look at it. It's not too many times where you see Shakur slip. It's not too many times where you see him roll. It's not too many times where you see him pull. It's not too many times where you see him pivot and create an angle or none of that. It's either he's walking forward a little bit or he's going straight back. And I think that alone kind of nips it in the bud when it comes to you know what I'm saying, unifying this division because like you mentioned, it's a lot of different styles. And each style you're gonna have to have a lot of that stuff in your tool bag and be able to use it at will whenever you're ready to dispense it. You're gonna need that to beat some of these fighters. And let alone to unify this division, you gotta beat Tank, bro. And Tank already has one or two ups on you. So you're gonna have to come with it. You're gonna have to start letting your hands go. You're gonna have to really out and show out your defense. So, Bud applies some positive, calculated peer pressure, but I think in the sense of Bud, I think the people outside of Shakur has more confidence in Shakur than Shakur has in himself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let that quote right there, sit on the shelf. Y'all do what y'all want when it, comment it. You know what I'm saying? And say what y'all want to say. We gonna reply to your comments when you comment. So say what y'all gotta say, and we gonna get to them. You feel me? But at the same time, let's go ahead and segue into the last topic and subject. Once again, Canelo is giving yet another unproven Mexican fighter. I'm gonna highlight this word right here. Mexican fighter a chance to compete on the big stage. Eddie Berlanga has now, you know, well, he's about to finalize and close the deal to fight on the big stage against Canelo Alvarez. Capo, I'm gonna let you roll on this. Go ahead, let the people know how you feel, bro.
Canelo need to drop them belts. I don't. This is a duck move for Canelo. Okay, let me just back up. This is a duck move for Canelo. Okay, you still got the belt at 168. You're the head guy, head honcho at 168 right now. You got the belts. You don't want to fight none of your mandatories that can beat you. Let me make that perfectly clear. He don't want to fight his mandatories that can beat him. There's only one that can beat him, and that's David Benavidez, right? So he's going around with these belts, fighting guys that are not deserving of this opportunity. See, back in the day, and I know I got to go on my back because I'm sorry. Back in the day when he was at 160 and Jamal Charlo was the mandatory for his belt, what was the one thing they were saying? Oh, what has Charlo done to get a Canelo fight? What did Avni
Mm-hmm.
Yildirim get a Canelo fight? What did Edgar Berlanga do to Canelo fight? Get a Canelo fight? What did John Ryder do to get a Canelo fight? Do I need to keep going? These are the things that I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about. What did Amir Khan do to get a Canelo fight? Amir Khan was at 147. He brought him up. What are we talking about? So he been doing this type of stuff. You get what I mean? I don't want to hear nobody talk about what David Benavidez has done. I don't want to hear that stuff because what did Edgar Berlanga do? He struggled against a Scottishman, not a Scottishman. He struggled against that boy. His last couple fights, he been struggling against them Scottishmen. He don't know what to do. That's why Top Rank dropped him because he's one dimensional. He just got power. That's it. That's all he know how
Mm-hmm.
to do is punch. He don't have no boxing IQ. He dumb in the sport of boxing when it comes to IQ. And I'm sorry I gotta put it like that, but it's stuff he do in the ring that he shouldn't be doing or he should know not to do. You know what I mean? I know some amateurs that got higher IQ than Edgar Berlanga right now.
Facts.
And that and you know what I'm saying? And I'm just keeping it real, bro. Like at the end of the day, he's not deserving of this fight. He hasn't done anything to get this fight, right? The only reason he getting this fight is because of Eddie Hearns promised him this fight, right? To basically keep Berlanga on his team, right? Which I don't know why you trying to keep Berlanga on your team anyway. He ain't doing nothing. He
Mm-hmm.
only can fight in New York. He can't go to LA. He can't come to Houston. He can't go to Vegas. He can't go nowhere. And what's going to happen to him in against Canelo? He getting stopped. Canelo finna, I'm telling you, Canelo gonna stop this boy, bro. His knockout streak finna start with Edgar Berlanga. I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a duck move. So what I want Canelo to do is just be real, drop the belt, so you can do what you want, right? We're to the point now as a fan, we don't care, bro. I'm not buying. I'm not watching the fight. I don't care. And you know his sales are dwindling down because Dana White from UFC said, you know what, we're gonna host an event the same day Canelo fight. So they not.
No.
They never used to do that. Anytime Canelo fought, they scheduled around it. Now they're scheduling their events the same day Canelo fight. Why is that? Because his numbers are
Mm-hmm.
dwindling down. Canelo needs to drop them belts. He can do whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants. Just drop the belts. Give these young guys who coming up an opportunity to make some of themselves because you holding up the division. I'm done.
All right. You know, I've been sitting, pondering, thinking. Maybe I'm overthinking it. K-Po done mentioned all the real big subjects when it comes to Canelo. At this point, I think he's sitting in that political chair, political seat to open up the floodgates. I think he's trying to bring back the Mexican fighter. And what does he keep doing? Inviting these Mexican fighters to come up, unproven or not. Hey, when I get out of here, we need another Mexican warrior to stand at top. He using his brain. I like it, but at the same time, you hurting the boxing world, man. Drop the belts. If you ain't gonna fight the best, drop the belts and go ahead and get out the way. If you really want them to be up there, let them compete with each other. Drop the belts and let them compete with each other. I get what you're doing. You're doing it for the culture. You're doing it for the Mexican fan. You're doing it for the Mexican warriors. You're doing it for the bros. All right, cool. I peep that. It's cool. But at the same time, you hurting the sport of boxing. There's fans that want to see you get in there with the best before you go out. We don't want to remember your last four fights, the last three fights with a Ryder, Munguia, Berlanga, and some other chump, you know, that you're gonna bring up, just to give them some exposure. So when they finally get there, they on top as the Mexican warrior, the Mexican fans, people, and the guy. No, 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 no. Stop that. Drop the belts and get out the way, man. You can stay in your political seat all you want. You can stay there. Do what you want to do. But drop the belts and let the real warriors get up there and scrap for it, man. Let the best fight the best. And with that being said, I ain't got nothing to say about it. Nothing else. And K-Pop, if you got anything, go
And,
ahead, say what you got to say and close this out.
and if Canelo really like that, he would drop the belts, let these young dudes fight for these belts, and then he can come back on the back end and be like, I want to fight him. So whoever got and beat him and take and get the belts. That's how you achieve greatness. So, prime example, Dave Benavidez. If he said, "Hey man, I want him to prove himself," drop the belts, let Dave Benavidez get all the belts, and then you come back and fight him for the belts and whoop him and get the belts back.
Hmm.
That's all I'm saying. But that's my little spiel on that. We're gonna close it, body bag it, bury it, put it in the dirt, put a tombstone on it. It's over with. So, we done reached the end of the podcast. We clutched up, we clutched out. We talked about, Tank. We talked about Benavidez. We didn't talk about Shakur. We didn't talk about Terrence. We didn't talk about Canelo. Man, y'all continue to support us, man. Continue to, share. Continue to like. Continue to subscribe. That's the important thing. Because I see y'all looking, but y'all not subscribing. So subscribe to our channel. Man, we're going to keep applying pressure. We're going to stay in your throat. Like I said, I'm boss. That's coach. We gone.